Nice.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting science class with John. I'm your host, John.
Yay.
Say hi, Lucky. Like,
And so today we're going to be talking about, who's that? A gorgeous
That's
black,
Lucky.
a gorgeous black cat just hijacked the whole class. Oh, that's Lucky.
Lucky.
Hi, Lucky. Hey, Lucky, have you ever heard of hot springs? Do you know what hot springs are?
I do.
Put up a paw or twitch your wrist, or if you
Yeah,
did.
she's looking.
One.
He's
All right.
looking at you. He said, I don't know.
All right. Well, today our class is all about hot springs, which is a naturally occurring, beautiful thing on our planet. And it's all thanks to something called geothermal energy. So we're going to learn a little bit about that today. And I found some cool articles about it. Obviously, we're going to watch some fun videos too. But my question was, well, how are hot springs formed? So let's just read this one. A hot spring is a spring of geothermally heated water that rises from the Earth's crust to the surface. Also referred to as thermal or geothermal springs, hot springs vary in size and produce water that ranges in temperature from warm to very, very hot. Oh, here's Nisa trying to join. Let's let her in. While no universally accepted definition exists, examples of criteria to define a hot spring include water that is warmer than its surroundings, warmer than human body temperature, warmer than the ambient ground temperature, or warmer than 50 degrees Celsius or 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Some hot springs are safe for bathing, while others contain water hot enough to boil an egg. So you have to be very careful. Yeah, you have to be very careful. A lot of people think, oh, it'll be like a hot tub. But hey, Nisa, welcome to the class.
Thanks.
Welcome, welcome. We're talking about hot springs.
Okay.
And we're talking about how some can be warm enough to bathe in, and there's some say that they have healing powers because you're soaking in these like mineral rich waters that get into your skin and absorb into your skin.
Hey, John.
Yeah, Sarah.
I've been to hot springs before.
You have?
Yep.
Did you get to actually take a dip in them, or you just saw them?
No, I got to go swimming in it.
No way.
Yeah.
Where was that?
I don't remember where it was, but it was a long time ago when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, so it's important to know that not all hot springs are created equal. So some are like wicked, wicked hot, and they're basically like cooking temperatures. So if you got in them, you would start cooking like a rotisserie chicken, and that's not safe.
Doesn't sound very thrilling.
No, but the ones that are safe, they advertise are safe, and normally they have like hotels and spas near them, and they've been kind of beefed up with, amenities and whatnot. So hot springs can form in several ways, but they most commonly occur when rainwater or groundwater is heated by magma underneath the Earth's surface. So you guys know that our Earth's surface is kind of called, kind of has cracks and faults in it. So that allows water to flow deeper towards the mantle or the inner crust of the Earth, where it's more heated from the magma core of the Earth. So, and there it comes in contact with hot rocks that heat the water, and then underground pressure forces the hot water upwards and back to the Earth's surface through the same cracks or faults it went through. The amount of underground pressure determines how fast and how far the hot water flows. This type of hot spring usually forms in areas with volcanic activity. And we all know that there's some dormant or active volcanoes all over the world. So there's quite a lot of hot springs out there. There's quite a few I've learned today in the US, and I'll tell you how many in a minute. Hot springs can also be formed when absorbed rainwater is heated underground by the radioactive decay of elements present in the rock. For every 1,000 feet of depth, the groundwater is heated by an additional 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Additionally, the hot water becomes more viscous and rises up through the cracks and faults to the Earth's surface. As the hot water reaches the surface, it can flow slowly or quickly depending on the amount of underground pressure. Generally, the flow rate of hot springs differs depending on the volume of underground water and the amount of underground pressure. So, uses of hot springs. Hot springs can be a popular tourist attraction for several reasons. For example, hot springs contain very high mineral content, including radium, lithium, and calcium, which some believe have medicinal values. Hot springs are also sometimes included in rehabilitation clinics for individuals with disabilities. Several spas have been created around hot springs, such as the many onsens, that's what they call them, onsens, in Japan. However, hot springs with very hot water can contain certain dangerous chemicals that are harmful to the body and could cause burns. Notable hot
That's not
springs.
good.
Yeah, so those are the ones you want to avoid. Like if you're going to travel, you want to look for a hot spring that has been verified that people swim in it all the time. It's safe.
Yeah, well, we asked before we went into hot springs.
Yeah.
We asked the person who was working there, is it safe to go in? The woman's like, yeah, people are been swimming in it for a long. People have been swimming in it, so yes.
Good. Well, it says the largest hot spring in the world is the Grand Prismatic Spring. And where do you guys think that largest hot spring in the world is?
I'm guessing in warmer climates. Not here. I hope not.
It's actually in the US.
There's one
Really?
here I've seen it before, but I've never been in it.
It's at Yellowstone National Park within the US.
Yeah.
The hot spring is approximately 110 miles wide by 50 miles deep and has a flow rate of at least 2,100 liters per minute. The blood pond in Japan is characterized by its bright red water, which is caused by rust, and it has a high concentration of iron. Also, Jigokudani is a volcanic hot spring in Japan, where snow monkeys are usually seen bathing. Other notable hot springs. Yeah, it's pretty cool. We're going to see a video about that. Other notable hot springs include Elizabeth Spring, Lava Hot Spring, and Glenwood Spring. So that's just kind of like an intro to hot springs. Basically, it's a geological formation due to the water being accessed through those cracks, the heat under our Earth's surface. All right, so how many hot springs do you guys think exist in the US?
Probably a good 100.
There was actually a helpful guide found on the NOAA thermal springs list for the US that shows you over 1,664 hot springs.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Now, not all those can be swam in, because remember, not all hot springs are created equal. So some of these are like really pretty to look at, like the Prismatic Spring in Yellowstone Park, but you do not want to swim in the Prismatics pool. Those bright, beautiful.
Be singed.
You'd be cooked. Yeah, it would not be pretty.
Be bad.
So I have like a list of them. There's hot springs in let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hot springs.
You cook your food in it. You cook your food into it. You can put your food down into it and have your food cook.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Sarah, because there's been talk of how Native Americans would use hot springs as a source to heat and cook their food. Pretty cool. So you could have like a small pan that you put next to the hot springs where the ground is still very heated by that steam and that rising heat, and you can cook your eggs for breakfast.
Wow.
So Alaska has 7 listed hot springs of its own, which is surprising because you think of Alaska, you think cold, Arizona has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
That doesn't surprise me. They're very in Arizona. It's a very hot climate.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I've heard that they can get up to like 110, 115, temperatures during the day. So
yeah, that's why I don't live in Arizona.
I'm surprised.
My grandma lives in Arizona, but if I ever go to visit her, it'll have to be in the winter when it's like 65 or 70 degrees.
Exactly. That would be hot for me.
Arizona has
my cousin where it's really, really hot.
Yeah.
I have a cousin who lives where it's really hot.
Where does she live?
I don't remember where.
But it's hot. You remember that?
My family moved out. My family's all spread out.
Arizona has a hot springs called Gold Strike Hot Springs. I wonder if they were mining for gold and suddenly water started bubbling out.
Maybe.
They got another one called Pumpkin Spring, which is a hot springs in the Grand Canyon.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. You'd have to take a long trek down to find that one.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I'm going to the Great Canyon at some point.
Yeah, that's on my bucket list. My mom got to go recently, right, Mom? Yeah.
I get to go. I'm very excited.
That's
I'm going.
Irene was telling me that her and her husband and I think a couple of her kids
Uh-huh.
went to the Grand Canyon and they had so much fun. There was a waterfall there, but because it flooded so much, it just took it all away.
Yeah. Wow, this is crazy. So California has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31 hot springs in California. According to
A hot
Wikipedia.
spring. That's a lot of hot springs.
That's a lot of hot springs.
John,
Yeah.
my mom's been to the hot springs in California.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they got all different names. They got Mammoth Hot Springs. I wonder if they still have mammoths just soaking over there. Probably not.
That's really cool. That's
They're-
really
they're-
cool.
They're extinct, but that'd be
He
awesome.
probably got the bones left.
Yeah. Just a woolly mammoth skeleton rising out of the
Yeah.
springs.
Ghost.
Yeah.
We're gonna go there.
The
Can we
haunted
go-
spring, haunted by the ghosts of woolly
Mammoth.
mammoth.
Yeah, definitely.
Irene was telling me when she was at the Grand Canyon that they left to go I think left to go like somewhere and there's these crows that was trying to eat their food and they was carrying it around using their feet trying to put it in I guess something and then drag it away.
Oh, they're trying to like make a little to-go bag.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But I didn't believe that crows were really that smart until she told me that. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. They
Oh,
were like using their fin,
birds are clever, yeah.
their like their feathers and their feet, and they were just like kicking it, moving it. It's like,
I was in on vacation somewhere. And here was seagulls, and seagulls were taking off with I saw a seagull flying out with a fish in its mouth.
Well, this is pretty wild. And
Crazy.
Yeah.
apparently in Colorado, they have like 8 hot springs, and one of them is called Conundrum Hot Springs. Do you guys know what a conundrum is?
no.
It's like a mystery, or like, boy, that's a conundrum. I wonder how that happens,
Oh yeah.
So I think that's a funny thing.
Maybe
to
it
do.
was a mystery how the earth created it.
Yeah, maybe. Well, they said
Maybe that's why they call it that.
it's a thermal spring in a remote section of the Maroon Bells Snowmass Wilderness area of White River National Forest in Colorado Rocky Mountains. Conundrum hot springs are among the highest in altitude in the US. So maybe that's what it is. It's so high altitude. People are like, wow, how did these become hot springs? The springs are located in a scenic setting, the views of mountains, avalanche chutes, and waterfalls. The largest soaking pools can fit 10 or more people, and they're approximately 3 feet deep. It's pretty cool. Florida has 1 hot spring. It's known as Warm Mineral Springs in Florida. Georgia has Radium Hot Springs and Warm Springs. And Hawaii has Isaac Hale Park Spring. Idaho looks like they have 7 springs of their own. Illinois has 1. Indiana 1. It has Massachusetts here. It has listed Sand Spring. But when I tried to click Sand Spring, it's like, we can't find a page related to this. It doesn't exist. So I was like, what?
Sam, you hack 'em, we pack 'em. Can I help you?
Hello? Goodbye. It was an 800.
Person.
Hey, Becky, will you come here?
Oh, yeah,
Now,
for you. Hey, can I help you?
Nevada takes the prize for the most hot springs. They exist in Nevada. Huh, they got a place called Bathtub Spring.
Here's the springs in New
People
York State.
in the
New York-
olden days used to take
New York
baths in
State
there.
has springs.
Yeah, so there's tons of springs. Basically, the takeaway from this is there are 1,664 springs just in the US. So
Wow.
another
New York
thing,
State. It's one in New York State, John.
there might be, yeah. I haven't.
I think here it is because I've been. I think here it is because I've been in it.
So I wanted to look up like Native Americans and their interaction with hot springs because I heard a vague reference to how Native Americans believed they were all like interacted with all of them. And it says here that Indians of the Americas considered hot springs as a sacred place where the Great Spirit lived, and thus were great believers in the miraculous healing powers of the heat and mineral waters. Every major hot springs in the US and Canada has some record of use by Native Americans.
Hmm.
Okay, so what is the legend about the water from the hot springs? Well, according to legends in North America, Native people revered hot springs as sacred smoking waters. They believed that the vapors were the breath of the Great Spirit who lived in the Earth's center. It's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
So I found an article about how Yellowstone National Park really kind of like pushed all the Native Americans out and tried to make it look like they never lived there. And then they tried to, make it look like it's like, oh, this vast unexplored wilderness. But there were signs of Native American settlements, but they quickly just tried to shuffle them out of there and get them to, I think it was during a time when the park was created, it was during a time when the reservations were being pushed and they were trying to get Native Americans to move there. So it's sad because there's a lot of history of Native American life in Yellowstone that is glossed over that they don't talk about. But it's pretty wild.
But John, you're talking about it, so that's cool.
Yeah, I think it should be given credit, I mean,
Yeah.
they lived there. They had, sacred beliefs about the water. They believed that the water was a sacred place. So yeah, pretty cool. I'm gonna share my screen and we're gonna watch some cool videos.
Oh, I'm ready.
Because I've been yapping long enough. What's that, Nisa?
Let's
go to YouTube here.
Wait.
Fucking nene. Who's whipping a nene during my class?
Not me. I'm outside.
For shame.
Yeah.
For shame. I mean, granted, I am in the middle of transitioning to YouTube, but come on, people. Have some faith in me.
Hey.
Lucky, are you? Wait. Lucky.
All right, do you guys want to see the top 10 beautiful hot springs around the world, or Yellowstone and their steaming acid pools of death?
Let's do hot spring around the world.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
less creepy than the acid pools of death. We'll build up to the creepy.
Lucky.
All right, guys, let's video play soon.
They're with mittens.
Some are for soaking, others are
Lucky wants
simply
to
to be
flirt.
observed, but they are all stunning. Welcome to Mojo Travels, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 beautiful hot springs. Are you a fan of our videos? Be sure to subscribe to Mojo Travels and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're looking at the most breathtaking and awe-inspiring hot springs, hot pools, and geothermal spas from around the world. We'll be including both hot springs where you can bathe and luxuriate, and those which, for various reasons, are strictly off limits, but which are nonetheless beautiful enough to make the trip worthwhile. Number 10, Cascate del Mulino, Manciano, Italy.
Ooh.
Italy, Tuscany in particular, is a land of enchantment with almost too much to offer, with its panoramic vistas of rolling hills, inspiring coastline, and of course, food and wine. Well, unfair as it might be, you can also add one of the most beautiful hot springs in the world to the region's list of features. Just a few minutes away from the town of Saturnia, these thermal waterfalls and sulfuric hot springs await.
Look at that, guys. It's like little platforms and pools that kind of cascade down the hillside. That's beautiful.
Oh,
Layered.
that would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be pretty wild.
That'd be awesome.
Take that charming old mill for a front desk. This is a completely free public hot spring with, thankfully, plenty of free parking nearby. Though that does mean it can get crowded on weekends, it's still paradise. Number 9, Jigokudani Monkey Park, Yamanouchi, Nagano Prefecture, Japan.
Look
Like we said,
at these snow monkeys. There's tons of them. Now, this is one of the pools you can't go swimming in because, let's be honest, there's like hundreds of monkeys swimming there, and I think they'd get a little territorial. They'd be like, hey, this is our
Yeah.
path, get out. So it's fun to watch, though.
You won't be able to take a dip in all of these hot springs, but we're not sure that you'd want to jump in here even if you were allowed. These pools are already rather crowded. In place of human bathers, these hot springs are full of monkeys at an elevation of 2,800 feet and accessible only via a footpath. Jikokudani Monkey Park is not the easiest of places to visit, but given its stunning beauty, as well as the unique sight of bathing Japanese macaques, it is well worth the trip. Descending from cliffs and forests to soak every day, hundreds of snow monkeys guarantee a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Number 8, Deception Island Hot Springs, Antarctica. A part of
Antarctica.
the South Shetland Islands archipelago, Deception Island has been home to whaling stations and various research outposts over the years, and its history can be traced through the dilapidated buildings, equipment, and vehicles. It's also an active volcano. Though this volcano has been known to, well, erupt, this remains one of the safest ports in Antarctica and a relatively popular tourist destination. Brave the unforgiving cold of the Antarctic climate, and you'll reach an otherworldly landscape, complete with dark sands, a population of chin-strap penguins, and hot springs. It's a very strange place, but hauntingly beautiful, and just about the most unique place you'll ever go bathing, or just go. Number 7, Hamamet Moa'in.
So, Sarah M., are you on the call?
Yep.
Well, hello, welcome. I didn't want to just keep the video going without welcoming you to the class, and we're going through a video of like top 10 hot springs that exist in the world, and we just saw one in, of all places, Antarctica, which I thought would be a little too frosty to go for a dip, but apparently
Yeah, that's surprising.
they have
Sounds
a
cold
famous
to
hot
me.
spring. Yeah, well, you just got to make sure you get in the right pool, right? That'd be a bad prank to pull on tourists. Be like,
Guess
oh, yeah, the
so.
hot spring is
Guess
that
so.
pool right there.
In right pool, I guess so.
Yeah. All right, let's see number 7. Hamamat Ma'in in Ma'in, Jordan. Oh, Mom, you went to Jordan, right? Yeah.
In Jordan. After journeying through the desert, you might not believe your eyes, but what you're seeing is no mirage. That's a desert oasis. Sitting nearly 400 feet below sea level and located between the city of Madaba and the Dead Sea, the Moa'in hot springs are rich in minerals and history. Legend has it that King Herod himself enjoyed the therapeutic benefits of this incredible natural wonder.
Nice.
The area immediately surrounding the hot springs and waterfalls has admittedly been developed pretty extensively. But if it's in the budget, a stay at an eco resort is sure to make for a lovely experience. If not, the public springs are accessible for a reasonable fee. The beauty of it all, priceless. Number 6, Chinoike Jikoku, Beppu, Japan.
Look at that water, it's
The
red.
island of Chusu isn't a must-visit for all travelers, but those seeking more Japanese hot springs or onsen know that this is the place to be. The coastal city of Beppu has become a global destination because of its abundant hot springs. There are plenty of places here where you can bathe in a serene setting, but if you're looking for beauty above all else, Blood Pond Hot Spring is the spring you're after. The oldest known hot spring in Japan at over 1,300 years old. It earns its ominous name from its bloody red color. The high temperatures mean that taking a dip is strictly off limits, but you're welcome to dip your feet in the Ashimizu pool.
I wouldn't want to dip my feet.
Yeah, I don't think I want to take a dip in a place called Blood Pond. That would kind of creep me out.
I wouldn't want to dip your feet in there. I wouldn't want to dip my feet in there.
So to give a science edge to that, I would say that the colors that change within water are normally caused by minerals. So that's probably very iron-rich water, and that's the color of rust, you know. So, but I think mostly it's not safe because of the extreme heat. You know, keep in mind that a hot tub should be at 104 degrees, no more than 104. And some of these hot springs that we're viewing, which are gorgeous, are like 120, 130 degrees.
Wow.
And so you'd be cooking. It would be cooking your skin, you know. And you know, I don't want meat for dinner, so
Me neither.
maybe some chicken. I don't know. Now this one's pretty cool. Number 5, and I have another video that we can look at to look at it more closely. Grand Prismatic Spring, and this is one in the U.S.
Grand Prismatic Spring, Yellowstone National Park, the United States.
Nope.
Not unlike those Japanese famous bloody ponds, Yellowstone National Park's iconic Grand Prismatic Spring.
So Sarah M., this spring is a big circular pool that on the outer edges and the fringes of it are kind of these swirls of red water that then meld into orange water, then yellow, and then green. And then the very center of the pool is deep blue. So it looks like this rainbow, this prism of colors that exists within this pool of water, this hot spring. Thought I'd give you a little description of what we're seeing, because I don't want you to feel
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. All right, let's see what they got to say.
Trades in swimmability for one-of-a-kind coloration and simply stunning beauty. The Grand Prismatic Spring was first discovered in Wyoming in the early 19th century and has captivated travelers ever since with its incredible vibrancy. With a blue center of extremely hot water rising from a crack deep in the earth, it slowly fades to the various colors of an optical prism, including green, yellow, orange, and red. 370 feet deep and moving some 560 gallons of water per minute, it is a very literal force of nature. While in Yellowstone Park, travelers should also check out the Minerva Terrace, which is beautiful in its own right. Number 4, Takaragawa Onsen, Gunma Prefecture, Kanto, Japan.
Now, I will say there are a lot of Japanese hot springs being listed here, and Japan considers them healing and beautiful places to go, and have made them kind of destinations. And when you hear the word onsen, you know onsen means hot spring. In Japan, they refer to these as onsens.
Returning to Japan yet again, this world-renowned onsen might just be the most relaxing hot spring on the planet. About 2.5 hours north of Tokyo in a remote area of the Kanto region, Takaragawa Onsen is a stunning, unbelievably peaceful retreat from Japan's busy city life. Soaking in the onsen surrounded by the natural beauty of the mountains, rivers, and trees, you'll feel the stress simply flowing out of you. Of course, the reception and overall treatment you receive from the hotel there certainly won't hurt. For a restful and relaxing hot spring experience in a beautiful setting, you can't do much better than Takaragawa Onsen. Number 3, Frying Pan Lake, Waimungu Volcanic Rift Valley, New Zealand.
I just like that there's a place called Frying Pan Lake. That's hilarious.
Hi, Mittens.
Yeah, did you hear Mittens?
I did.
And she's kind of sitting right behind me here.
I heard her. Hi, Mittens. I heard meow.
What's that, Mittens? You
Yeah,
want to
me
know
too.
about Frying Pan Lake? All right, let's find out more about Frying Pan Lake. This is in New Zealand. I'd love to go to New Zealand one day. I hear it's
Me
beautiful.
too.
For something entirely different, we head to New Zealand, where we find the largest hot pool in the world. Also known as the Waimungu Cauldron, Frying Pan Lake is the result of the 1886 eruption of Mount Tarawera. As enticing as it may look, the 9.4-acre lake is sadly not swimmable, as the temperature, even in the shallows, averages a deadly 110 to 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't let that dissuade you from making the trip, however. Surrounded by verdant hills, the steaming lake is also absolutely stunning and makes for some truly otherworldly photo ops. While there, be sure to also check out the neighboring Inferno Crater Lake.
Ooh,
Number 2, Blue Lagoon, Grindavik, Iceland.
Iceland.
Is it any wonder that this northern island nation has become such a must-visit destination for travelers? In the age of social media, travel photography has reached an unprecedented level of popularity, and Iceland is a land seemingly made up of almost exclusively unique sites. Iceland is known for its many natural hot springs, but the Blue Lagoon, despite being man-made, crowded, and encircled by a thick cluster of unexciting buildings, remains one of the country's most popular places to bathe. Located near Grindavik in southwest Iceland, this geothermal spa is characterized by its milky blue mineral-rich water, which stands in stunning contrast to the area's black lava rock fields. At a perpetually comfortable 102 degrees Fahrenheit, the Blue Lagoon provides the perfect balance of beauty and comfort. Number 1, Pamukkale Thermal Pools, Denizli, Turkey. This natural site, located in the River Menderes Valley, is understandably Turkey's most popular destination, which is saying something. Dating back to the times of antiquity, people have been making the journey to these thermal pools seeking restorative and relaxing qualities. The hot, calcium-rich, and appropriately turquoise water gently cascades over the travertines, naturally formed beautiful white limestone basins.
That is gorgeous. So they're like these circular white basins of limestone that kind of cascade down the hillside. And so the water pours from one pool into the one below, and then the layer below that, and that makes it all the way to the bottom. That is gorgeous.
Though
You
the
like that,
days of
Mittens?
freely bathing in Pamukkale's travertines are a thing of the past, this restriction is ultimately for the best, as it protects these natural formations for future generations. Don't worry though, you can still take your shoes off and walk in them, and a dedicated pool has been established for bathing. Do you agree with our pick?
So that's pretty cool, man. That's just a few of the many hot springs that exist across the world. But they are definitely a tourist destination for a lot of people.
That's pretty cool, John.
Yeah. All right, Mittens. What are you trying to say? I know you don't like bathing, so I'm not saying you have to go to the hot springs. She's just eyeing me like. what are
I
you
do,
doing?
Dad. I do. I do want to go.
She wants to go. Yeah. Can you imagine? My mom's kitten, Zephyr, loves playing in water. They found out when he like splashed all this water out of his water dish.
That's funny.
And he keeps trying to get into her fish tank, not to eat the fish, just to take a bath, you know, which seems very non-cat like. It's kind of funny. All right, let's learn a little bit more about Yellowstone. They say, and their acid pools of death, but it's really just, you need to know that there are certain chemical reactions that can happen within the water and sulfur that can occur that can, you know, really choke your lungs. So it wouldn't be safe to breathe in that air. And there's an acidity to some of the water that just isn't safe.
Our planet is under threat.
Well, we'll find out about that later.
Yellowstone National Park is a popular destination for vacationers and nature lovers. But if you don't obey the park's rules and regulations, it's possible to end up in off-limits areas where the water is dangerous and even deadly. How can Yellowstone's water kill someone? It all starts with the fact that Yellowstone is basically a giant volcano. Hot springs result from ancient rainwater percolating through the Earth's crust and getting superheated by all that geological activity. That water can also come into contact with the huge variety of chemicals that like to hang out in volcanoes. Those chemicals can make volcanic hot springs not just hot, but also pretty acidic, just not all the time. A study published in 2012 by researchers from the US Geological Survey examined why not all of Yellowstone's hot springs are alike. When hot spring water gets hot enough to boil, many of the volcanic gases that contribute to acidity, like hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide, can also vaporize and separate from the water, meaning some volcanic waters, when they reach the surface, are actually at a neutral to basic pH, around 8 to 10. Waters like these create Yellowstone's famous geysers. The acidic pools are often less spectacular in nature and more stagnant. They actually occur when those volcanic gases meet groundwater. The carbon dioxide can dissolve in there and lower the pH. And even more fun, exposure to atmospheric oxygen sulfide.
Sorry, guys. Cortana just decided to pop up on my screen, which is weird.
To sulfuric acid. So the crazy hot volcanic gases turn ordinary groundwater into very hot acidic pools of pure danger, which brings us back to the handful of unfortunate folks who have died in Yellowstone's waters over the years. Strong acids and bases can destroy tissues, including tough ones like bone and hair. But the pH of Yellowstone's acidic springs only goes down to around 2, which is enough to cause slight burns at room temperature, but not enough to be super deadly. More dangerous than the acid in these springs is the considerable heat. And water temperatures in Yellowstone often register at 92 degrees Celsius, about 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and most springs are well over 150. For reference, your hot tub should never be set above 104. 150 is getting into cooking temperatures. It's more than hot enough to be unsafe without the acid, although heat definitely makes acid burns worse too.
Yeah, heat plus
Some
acid
hot
equals
springs mix
ouch.
with cooler groundwater to make them safe to swim in on their own. And some, including Boiling River in Yellowstone, can be mixed with cooler water deliberately for a comfortable swim, but only in places where that's been determined to be safe. What all this means is that hot springs are a wellspring of crazy geochemistry, and you definitely can't tell just from looking at them which ones will slow roast and dissolve you alive.
Yeah.
So swim smart, okay? Thanks for watching. And if we sold you on that Yellowstone vacation, be sure to
You kind of scared me from ever going back to Yellowstone. Well, I'll say this: I went to Yellowstone Park, and it is not a field of death and misery. It's really quite beautiful, and the park posts signs all over the stating "Do not swim in," "Do not approach," "Don't dip in this water." And they're not doing that just for kicks. It's because they're like, if you don't want to die, stay away.
Well,
and
you
that
know,
just,
at some point.
yeah, I mean, it just shows though how immensely powerful our planet is.
I
The,
don't want to swim in that water anyways.
yeah, but I mean, there are some pools that are safe. Many of the ones in Yellowstone though are quite hot because there's a very major volcano that is somewhat dormant at the moment, I think. But let's hope, because when that volcano erupts, it's going to have a massive impact on the U.S. But this isn't a class about volcanoes; it's a class about hot springs. So, next time you're in the South, or you're going out to the central U.S. or the Northwest or wherever, think about like maybe there's a cool spa that has hot springs, and you could get a quick dip in the waters and feel the healing power of all those minerals that you're soaking in. I don't know. What do you guys think? Are you scared of hot springs? Or do you think maybe I'll try it one day?
I done it once. I'll do it again.
Yeah. Not all hot springs are created equal. So not all hot springs are evil, death pools of acid. You just gotta ask the locals, hey, this spring, is it safe?
I'm going to the ocean. I'm going to the ocean, and I like going to the ocean.
Yeah, that's fun
So I
too.
go to the ocean first, and then I get cold first, and then I'll go to the hot springs and cool off.
There you go. Yeah. Well, pretty cool, man. It's a naturally forming phenomenon on our planet. Now, next Friday, we're going to learn about geysers, which I almost feel ties in with hot springs in a lot of ways, because there's also a lot of geothermal activity that goes into geysers. And we'll look at Yellowstone National Park for geysers as well, because it's quite well known for them. And what is the most famous geyser that you guys have heard of? Huh?
Oh,
It's in Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Old Faithful. You guys ever heard of Old Faithful?
Mhm.
Yeah. Old Faithful geyser. They call it Old Faithful because it pretty much a jet of water comes pumping out of the earth at a regular time. So you can rely on, have faith in the fact that it's going to do it like every 40 minutes or something. They have like a schedule, and they'll like tell tourists, okay, everybody gather at the park entrance to the Old Faithful, exhibit. And
Go next to porch.
yeah. Don't stand too close because that water's hot.
Yeah.
But that heat and pressure from underground pushes that water up much more quickly than hot spring water is pushed.
I was on vacation somewhere, and it started like literally downpouring. We're like on like this tour to hot springs, so it started downpouring. They're like, all right, we're gonna stop the tour right now. We're gonna stop the tour right now. We're gonna finish the tour tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because they heard thunder.
Yeah. No, that's safe. That's a good idea. You don't want people getting fried by lightning or something.
Yeah, they know what I almost get fried. I'm like, I want to get fried. Not when I go field trip.
Well, I think what's really cool about hot springs is it's groundwater and rainwater that's just snuck its way down beneath the Earth's surface to the hotter rocks that are being heated by the magma core of the Earth. So it's an effect of the magma core of our Earth. If hot springs stopped being hot, I'd be really concerned, because I'd be like, oh, what's happening to the magma core of our Earth? What's wrong? So
Springs too. There's cold springs too.
yeah. So
Hot springs.
you think there's cold springs as well?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. We'll have to look it up.
Somewhere. Should
Yeah.
look it up.
Pretty cool. You just taught me something new.
I didn't know it was cold springs. I just found it out.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the class. I know we're ending a little early, but does anyone have any questions or stories they want to share about a hot spring they may have visited? Sarah M., have you ever been to a hot spring?
No, actually, I haven't. But I remember in, I think, 4th or 5th grade, I did a report on Yellowstone. And
Nice.
so I remember a little bit. But yeah,
That's
it's pretty cool.
I bet you would like a hot spring because, it's it's able to be taken in with you know, physical touch and your other senses other than just through sight alone. So
Yeah,
it'd probably be a cool experience for you.
it's cool to feel it with your feet, and your hands. Like, see,
Yeah.
it's like, that'd be cool for you, Sarah. That'd be really cool for you.
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to go to one day. One of the safe ones.
I want to take one too. I want to
Yeah.
go to that safe.
Well, they say that there were Native Americans that did exist in Yellowstone before it became a national park, and they would actually bury some of their dead in the sacred waters that were,
But
you know,
I'm gonna go, Dawn.
those acidic pools. Oh, you're heading out? Okay, Sarah.
Bye. Everybody have a good weekend.
Yeah,
You
there's no
too.
Friday.
You
There's
too.
no
If you guys
Friday
going
fun
to
night.
if you guys are going to the dance, have fun tonight in the dance tonight. Have fun.
Yeah, SNSC
I'm
is
not.
they're semi-formal tonight, so we will not be having a Friday fun night. But it was so good to see you guys, and everybody have a safe and happy weekend. And
You too. I will see you Monday.
yeah, we'll see you then. All right, guys.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.